There are a few ways in which poetry differs from other literature, like novels. One difference, which you notice by just looking at a poem and looking at a novel, is length. A poem can be very brief, and the reason for that is poetry may, and usually does, dispense with things that a novel usually can't. A novel, in addition to its theme, requires character and plot. If I want to write a novel about doctors, the plot requires space for its development, which might be hundreds of pages. A poem about doctors can be as short as 3 sentences because theme alone is sufficient. And 3 sentences is exactly the number in this poem by Kipling that I want to share with you. The poem is about medicine, more specifically the practitioners of medicine, doctors, and the great object of their endeavor, prolonging healthy human life. I think this is a vocation-making poem, the kind of poem that can ignite a young person's passion for a particular subject and which can give him spiritual fuel across an entire career because it offers the fire of an ideal. And it's only 8 lines. Doctors by Rudyard Kipling. Man dies too soon, beside his works half planned. His days are counted, and reprieve is vain. Who shall entreat with death to stay his hand, or cloak the shameful nakedness of pain? Send here the bold, the seekers of the way, the passionless, the unshakable of soul, who serve the inmost mysteries of man's clay, and ask no more than leave to make them whole. Notice how he links pain with shamefulness, the, quote, shameful nakedness of pain, end quote. I think the background sentiment of this is that human life is, or should be, dignified. Life should be enjoyed in beautiful, exuberant health, and pain and suffering is an ugly aberration that should be covered up in a sense. Pain is an insolent slap in the face to the glorious state of man. I also love the poem's drama. First, it seems like there's no answer to the terrible picture presented in the first stanza. Perhaps man is doomed to this ugliness of pain and death. That phrase is so bleak. Man dies too soon. And don't you feel a black pit in your stomach when it said, his works half planned? The stanza ends asking, who will stop the hand of death? This question seems to echo too loudly as we listen for an answer, suspended over this formal division. And we wonder for a moment, chilled, whether there can be an answer, or if there is one, maybe it's too horrible to know. Perhaps we shouldn't have asked. Then, suddenly, right at the height of our desperation, there's this sudden brightness, like an explosion of light in a tomb. Suddenly, there's the possibility of fighting and winning, staying death's hand. The rescuers rush in, and we're saved. I find this very exciting. The doctors are presented as saviors, with the same fervor that you might find in serious Christian poetry. They are seekers of the way, Kipling says. But they are not otherworldly saviors, they are this-worldly saviors. And you can feel Kipling's devotion to them and to their significance with respect to that implicit idea of his that man's natural state should be one of sunlit, glorious health. The poem is so emotional with extreme lows and highs, so why does Kipling present the doctors as passionless? I think because since it's a poem about the importance of human life from the perspective of medicine and science, Kipling saw he needed to describe them as paying slow, persistent, unemotional attention to the facts of reality. A disease has a specific nature, and part of figuring out how to eliminate it requires understanding that nature, and emotions have no role to play here, and can even get in the way and prevent success. The mind needs to be, to use one of Kipling's words here, unshakable in its pursuit of figuring out the world and making life better. I'll read it again and see if your enjoyment of it isn't greater after having looked at it this closely. Maybe you'll even want to change your profession now. Man dies too soon, beside his works half planned. His days are counted, and reprieve is vain. Who shall entreat with death to stay his hand, or cloak the shameful nakedness of pain? Send here the bold, the seekers of the way, the passionless, the unshakable of soul, who serve the inmost mysteries of man's clay, and ask no more than leave to make them whole. Let me know what you think of my assessment of the poem, and if there are other aspects of the poem I didn't talk about that you find interesting, please leave a comment. And also, if anyone has a favorite Kipling poem and would like to suggest that I read it or analyze it, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.